Our today's topic is agriculture. What is agriculture? Agriculture is the practice of cultivating the land and raising animals to produce food and other materials for people. It's a combination of science, art, and business, which includes crop production, that is, growing crops, including horticulture and fisheries, livestock rearing, that is, raising animals, preparation and marketing, that is, preparing and selling the resulting products, plant science, that is, understanding the science of plants. Agriculture encompasses crop and livestock production, aquaculture, and forestry for food and non food products. Agriculture was a key factor in the rise of sedentary human civilization, thereby farming of domesticated species created food surpluses that enabled people to live in cities. While humans started gathering grains at least 1,05,000 years ago, nascent farmers only began planting them around 11,500 years ago. Agriculture has a wide scope. For our basic needs of clothing and food, we make use of plants and animals. Besides the cultivation of different crops, rearing cattle, sheep, and goats, maintaining poultry farms, keeping bees, sericulture, horticulture, orchardry, pisciculture, pig farming, emu farming, etc., are included in agriculture. In agricultural occupation, resources like manpower, animals, implements, etc. are used. Advanced technology is employed. In agriculture, cultivation of crops is considered to be the main and the most important occupation. Now, we have seen what is agriculture, but there are some activities which are allied activities of agriculture. So, first is animal husbandry. Animal husbandry is rearing different animals and obtaining various products from them for subsistence is the core of animal husbandry. Animal husbandry refers to livestock raising and selective breeding. It is the management and care of animals which the genetic qualities and behavior of animals are further developed for profit. A large number of farmers depend upon animal husbandry for their livelihood. A large number of farmers depend upon animal husbandry for their livelihood. Dairy farming, sheep and goat rearing are poultry, and poultry comes under animal husbandry. Animal husbandry refers to livestock raising and selective breeding. It is the management and care of animals in which the genetic qualities and behavior of animals are further developed for profit. A large number of farmers depend upon animal husbandry for their livelihood. Animals provide us with variety of food products which have high nutritional values, therefore they require a lot of care and attention. Animals are bred commercially in order to meet the high demands of food. Dairy products from animals like cows, buffaloes, goats are rich sources of protein. These animals are called milch animals as they provide us with milk. Another set of animals that provide nutrient rich food are hen, ducks, goose, etc. They provide us with eggs, which again are rich sources of protein. Animals like chicken, duck, ox, goat, pigs, etc. are bred for meat. Other than these domestic animals, we have other sources of nutrients as well. They are marine animals. The seafood we eat has very high nutrient values. They are source of a variety of nutrients like fat, proteins, vitamins, and minerals. Animal husbandry is a large scale business. The animals are bred, cared, and reared and sheltered in a farm or region which are specially built for them. Animal husbandry involves dairy farming, sheep and goat rearing, and poultry. So let us study this one by one. Dairy farming. Cows, oxen, buffaloes, etc. are reared for agriculture related work. Rearing milch animals. Milch animals means animals which gives milk. Milch animals and animals which can be employed in farming is also an occupation. It is considered to be an inseparable part of mixed farming. It has become quite commercial in recent times. In India, it has started changing recently. Commercial dairy farming is mainly undertaken for meat and milk. The next is sheep and goat rearing. This is also a traditional occupation that is generally carried out in hilly tracts and semi arid regions with a dry climate. Sheep and goats survive on short grasses, shrubs, and acacia, which grow in remote hilly areas away from urban settlements. In India, it is mainly undertaken for meat. Sheep rearing is carried out to obtain wool. Third is poultry. Keeping hens and other fowl is a common practice in all parts of the world. It is a traditional occupation. Today, it is carried out as a household occupation and also on a commercial basis. Running a poultry on a commercial basis requires a lot of care. For this, scientific methods are employed. In India, this occupation is generally located in the areas close to big cities as they provide a ready market for this occupation. In some areas, rabbit, pig, and emu rearing is also undertaken. Second allied activity of agriculture is beekeeping. What is beekeeping? Beekeeping, also known as apiculture, is the practice of raising and managing honeybees for the production of honey and other products. Beekeeping occupation is undertaken to obtain honey and wax. Bees, in order to collect honey, hover around the plants that bear flowers. This promotes the process of pollination. As a result, the trees bear large number of fruits and the crops yield increase. Beekeeping is an important occupation with respect to agriculture. Apiculture is important in agriculture because apiculture, also known as beekeeping, is the practice of raising and managing honeybees for the production of honey and other products. Apiculture is important in agriculture because bees play a key role in pollination, which helps plants reproduce. Pollination, products, economic activity, scientific activity. Pollination. Bees collects pollen from flowers and transfer it to other flowers, which helps plants reproduce. Products. Bees produce honey, wax, pollen, propolis, oil, jelly, and venom, which have nutritional and medicinal uses. Economic activity. Apiculture can be a source of income for rural communities. Scientific study. Apiculture provides an environment for scientists to study bee behavior. In the modern era, beekeeping is often used for crop pollination and the collection of its byproducts, such as wax and propolis. The largest beekeeping operations are agricultural businesses, but many small beekeeping operations are run as a hobby. Beekeeping, care and management of colonies of honeybees. They are kept for their honey and other products or the other services as pollinators of fruits and vegetables, blossoms, or as a hobby. Apiculture, that is beekeeping, is the science of raising of maintaining colonies of bees and their hives, that is beekeeping. Now, the third allied activity of agriculture is pisciculture. Pisciculture means fish farming. Pisciculture is the breeding, rearing, and transplantation of fish by artificial means is called pisciculture. Pisciculture is the process of growing fish and selling it or using its product for domestic or commercial use. Fish can be grown both in salt water or fresh water. Pisciculture is just culturing of fish or fish farming to obtain fish products. Pisciculture provides us with fish for food, cod, liver oil, etc. Pisciculture can be done both in marine water as well as fresh water. Pisciculture is the process of growing fish. Pisciculture or fish farming involves commercial breeding of fish, most often for food in fish tanks or artificial enclosures such as fish ponds. It is a particular type of aquaculture, which is the controlled cultivation and harvesting of aquatic animals such as fish, crustaceans, mollusks, and so on in natural or pseudo-natural environments. Worldwide, the most important fish species produced in fish farming are carp, catfish, salmon, and tilapia. Tilapia. Pisciculture. Farm ponds are dug out for this purpose. Water is stored in such ponds. Fish seeds are released in the ponds. For this, seeds of freshwater species are used. In order to achieve the best growth of fish, scientific methods are employed. Fishing in open seas has a number of risk factors. Different type of fish and other aquatic organisms caught in the fishing nets. Separating them becomes a major task. All organisms do not fetch the same price. All these factors led to the rearing of specific type of fish species separately. Pisciculture developed out of these efforts. Worm, roha, ravas, Indian salmon, columbi, prawns, etc. are reared in fish farms. The other allied activity of agriculture is sericulture. Sericulture or silk farming. Now, what is sericulture? Sericulture is silk thread is obtained from the cocoon of the silk moth as seen in the picture. These threads are very fine and strong, and from this one can weave soft silk cloth. Getting silk thread from cocoons and manufacturing silk cloth are independent occupations. They are not included in agriculture. Different organizations supply silk moth eggs to the farmers. Leaves of mulberry trees are the main food for these silkworms. Once planted, the mulberry trees survive for a minimum period of 15 years. Hence, the expenditure of planting the trees every year is saved. Sericulture or silk farming is the cultivation of silkworms to produce silk. Although there are several commercial species of silkworms, the caterpillar of the domestic silk moth is the most widely used and intensively studied silkworm. This species of silk moth is no longer found in the wild as they have been modified through selective breeding, rendering most flightless and without defense against predators. Silkworm litter is used for biogas production and used as a fuel for cooking in the rural area. Thus, sericulture not only provides silk for fashionable clothing, it also provides several very useful byproducts to the human society. Sericulture is the process of cultivating silkworms and extracting silk from them. The caterpillars of the domestic silk moth, also called Bombyx mori, are the most commonly used silkworm species in sericulture. Other types of silkworms such as Eri, Muga, and Tassara are also cultivated. Sericulture are also cultivated for the production of wild silks. Silk is fiber made up of two different proteins, sericin and fibroin. Approximately 80% of silk fiber is made up of fibroin, which is concentrated at the core. For the production of mulberry silk, the sericulture process follows three primary steps. Moriculture, that is the cultivation of mulberry leaves. Silkworm rearing, that is the promoting the growth of the silkworm. Silk reeling, the extraction of silk filaments from the silkworm cocoons. Finally, the silk filaments are woven together to form a thread. These threads are often piled together to form a yarn. The next allied activity is nursery. We all have visited a nursery. What is a nursery? Where plants are grown. A nursery. Now, nursery is a place where plants are propagated and grown to desired size. A nursery man is a person who owns a nursery, who owns or works in a nursery. Some nurseries specialize in certain areas, which may include propagation and the selling of small or bare root plants to other nurseries, growing out plant materials to sellable size or retail sales. Nurseries may also specialize in one type of plant, example ground covers, shade plants, or rock garden plants. Some produce bulk stock, whether seedlings or grafted trees of particular varieties for purposes such as fruit trees for orchards or timber trees for forestry. Some producers produce stock seasonally ready in the spring for export to colder regions where propagation could not have been started so early, or to regions where seasonal pests prevent profitable growing early in the season. A nursery is a place where plants are propagated and grown to a desired size. Mostly the plants concerned are for gardening, forestry, or conservation biology rather than agriculture. They include retail nurseries, which sell to the general public, the wholesale nurseries, which sell only to businesses such as other nurseries and commercial gardeners, and private nurseries, which supply the needs of institutions or private estates. Some will also work in plant breeding. In the last few years, the area under floriculture, cultivation of medicinal and aromatic plants, have increased and horticulture has increased. These plantations require a high standard of seedlings, cutting bulbs and seeds. This has led to the development of nurseries. Nurseries give good return. Now, under nursery, there is a concept known as greenhouse farming. What is greenhouse farming? Greenhouse farming facilitates getting maximum product from the land. It can have a total control on natural factors like climate, heat, atmospheric moisture, as well as soil moisture. It assists in getting maximum economic benefits. Greenhouse farming is highly specialized type of farming of the modern era. For erecting a greenhouse, galvanized iron pipes and plastic sheets are used. Its main aim is to control the pest attack by controlling water, light, and temperature. Greenhouses are used on a larger scale for growing flowers like lily and gerbera to give maximum economic returns. Our next point is types of farming. Now, there are two types of farming: subsistence farming and commercial farming. Under subsistence farming, there are two types of farming: intensive farming and shifting cultivation. And under commercial farming, there are four types of farming, that is extensive grain farming, plantation farming, market gardening, and horticulture. Let us discuss this in one by one detail. Types of farming. Different types of agriculture have evolved due to geographical and cultural diversity and technological differences in different regions. The type of farming depends upon the purpose and aims of methods of farming, the crops being cultivated, the techniques used, land use. Subsistence. First is subsistence farming. What is subsistence farming? Intensive farming and shifting cultivation are the two types in traditional farming. Intensive farming is carried out in one and the same farm for years together. In shifting cultivation, every year a new area is chosen for cultivation. After a specific period of time, old areas are again used for cultivation. Intensive farming. First farming again under subsistence farming is intensive farming. Intensive farming is getting maximum production from a minimum area is the characteristic of intensive farming. Characteristics of intensive farming is getting maximum production from a minimum area. Due to large population or limited availability of land, per head holding is small. This type of farming is mostly seen in developing regions. Farm production is sufficient only for the requirement of the family. In this type of farming, the cultivator and his family are totally dependent on farming. As farm production is low, the economic condition of the cultivator is also poor. In this type of farming, mostly animate energy is used. Besides the cereals, vegetables are also grown to some extent. Second farming under subsistence farming is shifting cultivation. Shifting cultivation is a primitive type of cultivation. This type of cultivation is practiced in tropics in densely forested areas or hilly tracts. The farmer initially selects a piece of land in the forest. In order to make it cultivable, he clears the land by cutting down the trees, plants, removing the shrubs and grass. Once the cut trees dry out, he burns them. The leftover ash gets mixed in the soil and acts as a manure. Sowing and harvesting is done before the rainy season. The production obtained from this is not sufficient to fulfill the food requirement. Hence, people undertake hunting, fishing, and gathering of bulbs and roots from forest. In this type of farming, sorry, the fallow period is longer the follow period is longer than the crop period. After the productivity of the land depletes in 2 or 3 years, a different piece of land is selected for cultivation. Second type of farming is commercial farming. What is commercial farming? Extensive grain farming and plantation agriculture are the two major types covered under commercial farming. First type of farming under commercial farming is extensive grain farming. Farm size is greater than 200 hectares. Due to large farm size and sparse population in the region, this type of farming is carried out with the help of machines like tractors and crushers. Pesticides are sprayed with the help of helicopters or planes. Monocrop. Monocrop, as the name suggests, is a single crop. Cultivation is the striking monocrop cultivation is the striking characteristic of extensive grain farming. The crops are wheat or corn. Besides this, barley, oats, soybean are also cultivated to some extent. Heavy capital investment is necessary for this type of farming. Since huge expenditures are needed for the purchase of machineries and fertilizers, pesticides, go downs, transport cost, etc. The problem in extensive grain farming are droughts, attack by pests, locusts, etc., and market fluctuations. This type of farming is carried out in the temperate grassland regions. Second type of farming under commercial farming is plantation farming. In plantation farming, farm size in plantation agriculture should be 40 hectares or above. As plantation agriculture is practiced in hilly tracts, use of machines is not possible and hence local manpower becomes important. The crop for which the geographical conditions are favorable is plantain. This is a single crop cultivation practice too. This type of agriculture does not produce food grains. Only commercial crops like tea, rubber, coffee, coconut, cocoa, species, etc. are planted. This type of farming began and spread mostly during the colonial period. It is practiced in the tropics. This type of farming requires large-scale capital investment due to the long duration of crops, use of scientific methods, etc. Climate, manpower, deterioration of environment, economic and managerial problems are the major issues faced by this type of agriculture. This type of agriculture is practiced in India and other South Asian countries, Africa, South and Central America, etc. After the types of farming, an interesting topic that is agrotourism. In types of farming, third type of commercial farming is market gardening. Now, what is market gardening? Market gardening is a type of cultivation developed in modern times. This has developed mainly as a result of urbanization and the ready markets available in urban centers. Farmers cultivate vegetables and other items in the vicinity of urban centers to cater to the demand of city dwellers. This type of cultivation works on a principle of economics, demand and supply. The land holding is small. Use of irrigation, organic and chemical fertilizers, low investment, use of manpower, demand of markets, use of science and technology, etc., are the characteristics of market gardening. It is dependent on good transport network. The quality and price of the product is determined by rapid transport. Hence, this type of farming is also known as truck farming. The last type of farming under commercial farming is horticulture. Horticulture, also known as floriculture. It is the cultivation of flowers and fruits. Cultivation of flowers and fruits is a subtype of market gardening. Fruits and flowers are the major products of this type of farming. In this type of farming, modern as well as traditional methods are used. The size of farms is small and every plant is cared for properly. In recent times, use of irrigation, chemical fertilizers, greenhouses, etc. is being made for getting more profit. Major products of horticulture are flowers like lily, gerbera, tulip, dahlia, etc. This fetch a good price in the market. Different native and exotic fruits like mangoes, custard apples, grapes, bananas, pomegranates, roseberries, strawberries, mulberries, etc. are cultivated in fruit farming. At places like Mahabaleshwar, Panchgani, Pune, Nagpur, Jalgaon, Nashik, etc. Countries having Mediterranean climate, France and Italy, are famous for horticulture. The next topic is agrotourism. What is agrotourism? Agrotourism is a new field in tourism. In the tropics, various types of agricultural products are cultivated. Hence, there is a greater scope for agrotourism. In agrarian countries, the rural life, local customs, and culture are utilized for agrotourism. City dwellers are curious about the farmer's life and environment. Many of them visit rural areas and just to see this. Agrotourism is financially beneficial for the farmer and his village. Agritourism or agrotourism is a field that is growing in popularity as producers try to diversify and increase profits. Agritourism or agrotourism involves any agriculturally based operation or activity such as activity that brings visitors to a farm or a ranch. It encompasses various it encompasses a wide range of activities that are including direct to customer sales such as farm stands and you pick, agricultural education through school visits, hospitality services like overnight farm stays, recreational activities such as hunting and horseback riding, and entertainment event like high rides and harvest dinners. These activities provide an additional source of income for farmers and help sustain small scale farms. Last, importance of farming. Now, why is farming important for all of us? So, farming is important for many reasons, including food security, economic development, environmental benefits, raw materials, supply chain, and many more. Let us discuss them one by one. Food security. Farming provides food for the world's growing population. Economic development. Now, how can farming help in economic development? Farming is vital source of employment and can help reduce poverty. Environmental benefits. Farming can help maintain the balance of life in the environment, including healthy biodiversity, reduced erosion, and more effective water conservation. Raw materials. Farming provides raw materials that are a core building block of the global economy. Supply chain. Farming creates a strong supply chain that requires shipping methods such as ocean freight, rail, and trucking. A global trade. Farming impacts global trade and supports job creation. Conservation. Farmers can adopt conservation practices to build rich, fertile soils that protect water sources, store carbon, and reduce greenhouse emissions. Learn about nature. Learn about nature. Farms can help people to learn about nature and how to take care of the land and animals.